I've never seen anyone leave like this totally. There's nobody in the office or anything. There's always someone, at least one person in there. I mean, I don't mind about all that, but if I didn't have court, I'd sit here all day long, but, you know, I can't be late for that. I will do whatever they say to get out of the situation that I'm in as quickly and as smoothly as possible. I don't want any more ruffles in my life. For me, for my family, for people I don't know. I don't want any more. I don't want any more turbulence for the rest of the flight. Can I ask you a quick question?
Can you shut that off for a second?
Anna switched my appointment for today till at 3, and because I have a hearing to go to. So is there any way to expedite? I don't know who I'm seeing or anything.
So you're supposed to meet with Anna at 3?
Mm-hmm.
And what time is it right now?
10 after. But they said that, I think Gloria said that she's not here today.
Oh, okay. So.
And I have a hearing that I gotta be at.
I hope you're listening. The story you're about to hear is true. I'm about to take you to my hometown, a long-forgotten land you've never heard of. It's one of the most addicted counties in the most addicted state in the country. This is the story of 4 of its felons climbing the razor-sharp mountain to get out from rock bottom. It's the story of a furious, fed-up, unforgiving judicial system and a church in the middle of a cornfield at the center of it all. The story is true, but it isn't pretty. Let's begin. Welcome to Polk County, Wisconsin.
A man who killed 3 brothers driving drunk several years ago is back behind bars for driving drunk again.
Court cases containing meth charges has more than doubled over the past few years.
Huge effort linking meth in the metro to a Mexican drug cartel.
As the group got the meth from suppliers in Mexico and then sold the drugs on the streets of Polk County.
I think people are really disgusted when they continually hear of these repeat offenders for their 5th, 6th, 7th, sometimes 10th OWI.
We have one of the biggest problems in the nation, and yet we have some of the fewest solutions to correct it.
We're not addressing what causes addiction to begin with.
So far, counties including Polk, Rusk, and Barron are all reporting an increase of meth out of the Twin Cities.
Even if it passes, it would only revoke a person's driver's license after 5 DUIs.
There's talk of throwing the book at drunk drivers.
But we've heard this talk before, and little, if anything, has happened. Will 20
since about 1995.
Polk County.
Polk County. Polk County. Polk County.
All right, welcome guys, blessings. Thanks for being here. All right, bless you guys. All right. Hey guys, I see NFL. Oh, it's Packers underneath.
I almost brought the Vikings mug.
Yeah, okay, we got a little.
Osceola Community Church has opened its arms to broken people, and they feel that when they come here.
Hey, you guys are over your sicknesses, huh? For the most part, how you feeling, honey? Yeah, still having to keep really warm, though. Look at your glasses.
We are just an average church in a small town that's trying to make a difference because there's a lot of brokenness in our world. There certainly is in Polk County. We exist because change can happen.
Oh, Jesus, touch it right now. Oh, right there. Oh, feels better already, right? Walk it out, walk it out.
I'm gonna hug you.
Okay. Now I got to figure out where to put this. Okay. Got a good deal on a cover. $10 off.
Is that?
Yep.
Okay, give it.
So easy.
So when I come back,
Well, if I hadn't said $10 off, you know, but you know, I'll tell you what happened is, this actually is one for the old Genesis. I ordered them by mistake, but they fit the spirit.
Okay.
So I'm glad to give you $10 off.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Makes my day. So. My name is Bill Shanalois, and I'm from Osceola, Wisconsin. I have truly been a Wisconsinite all my life. How can I help you tonight?
Shoot my deer.
Shoot your deer?
Yeah. All right. Get rid of him.
Shoe him. Oh, okay. I thought you meant shoot him. Oh.
One of the biggest challenges is having enough help. We just hired a new employee, so it takes a long time to really learn.
Yep. Yeah, there you go.
He used to be kind of on edge a lot.
I don't know who talked to you about dust mopping, and you wouldn't think dust mopping is anything that you have to be trained on, which you don't. But after every aisle, make sure you shake it. So, okay, cool. What I was gonna say is, if you want to keep up to the other guys, you've got to hurry it up. Okay. No, you can go a little faster than that.
And now, I mean, every day's a good day.
I've seen the boys finish this whole place in 10 minutes. But we did grow up in a bar. And so I lived above a bar from the age of 12 to 18. We're the #1 beer drinking state in the country, but more than that, if you, a very culture of partying a lot. Let's work hard and play hard.
A couple nights a week.
Wow. See?
Doing that and
but
drinking
that's,
like crazy and.
Well, I don't know about the drinking, but
it all works.
Yeah. Probably at the age of, in fact, it was the age of 9th grade. My one brother thought it would be just dandy to get me high with him and his friends. Okay, thanks. And another brother thought it was just awesome to turn me on to speed. You know, I don't want to sound like they were terrible, because they weren't doing a whole lot different than anybody else was. Well, we went out snowmobiling at about probably 10 in the morning, and there was 3 of us, 4 total, and we left here, and I can't tell you exactly where we went, because that day is pretty, you know, it's pretty hard to remember. But I do know we stopped at 6, 7, 8 bars. Yeah, bars and restaurants, yes. I tell you, I got to my life where you could have a good time and include alcohol in just about anything. A lot of times you just have you know, there's nothing wrong with stopping and having a drink, but we never stop and have a drink, at least 3 at every place, maybe 4. And yes, there was cocaine involved.
Wisconsin snowmobile trails are a massive mini-highway network through the state, connecting one town to the next. The Polk County Snowmobile Trail Map alone has 49 ads for bars and liquor, complete with navigation to the nearest location.
I decided to race Al down, heading south towards Osceola down the Gandy Dancer. So we didn't even make it, I would say, a half mile before we crashed. We were approximately doing 105 when we crashed.
Wait, did he just say 105? In case you're wondering, this is what 65 miles per hour looks like.
He was laying in the trail, and seen me standing in the trail, obviously, then knew that we got problems. Coming behind us were the other 2 snowmobiles.
Then suddenly,
Hello.
This is the Polk County 911. What's your emergency?
Oh my God, we have a snowmobile accident on the Gandy Dancer Trail, south of Lewis, about a mile. God, my God. You are bleeding. What the just happened? He's not responsive. I don't know if he's moaning.
Okay, are there any obvious injuries?
Yes, obvious. I don't know. He's bleeding.
From where?
From his head, somewhere.
Is there somebody else that's a little bit calmer and can give
calmer? You want to talk to someone calmer? Here, fine, yes. All right, he's got a huge cut in his forehead.
Okay.
He's trying to hold that together or something, dude, because that's where he's bleeding from. I think one of our guys ended up running over him.
Somebody ran over him?
The injuries that occurred were 7 broken ribs. I broke my back in 10 places. My legs were basically lacerated beyond repair. I lacerated my kidneys, and I tore all the skin from my top of my right eye to the middle of my head. This was all gone. I lost my left eye, and I messed up my bladder pretty bad.
Obviously, Bill's punishment and the things he's had to live with from that point in time are more than anything the criminal justice system was going to do based on a fine or based on some kind of punishment aspect. My name is Dan Steffen. I'm the Polk County District Attorney. I've been the DA in Polk County since January 1 of 2007, so going on 9 years.
Dan is very well known in Polk County as the experienced and tough face of the law, prosecuting hundreds of cases every month, from OWIs and thefts to high-profile murder cases, and he is very, very good at his job.
I remember that case well. I looked at that case as to whether or not there should have been criminal charges, either as a result of that crash. I chose not to at that point in time. You know, I think if you looked into our jail and if you probably eliminated alcohol or drugs in general, I think you're probably taking out 75 to 80% of our population, of our jail. Ultimately, we're the ones that put an individual in the criminal justice system. Now, it's through their own actions, but they don't get charged until we say they get charged. And so when we make that first initial charging decision and that criminal complaint is generated, that's a big duty. There's a lot of responsibilities that come with that.
I was there the whole night. He was in surgery all night. And I didn't cry, and I didn't pray. I counted ceiling tiles all night, over and over and over again. Because I guess I just didn't know what to do.
This is the AK sleeve, which means above knee. This one here is cut off above the knee. And gotta use water. And then you just slide it right down. Sort of easier said than done, and then you gotta wipe it. Oops. I'll admit, I don't laugh about this every day, so. Okay, now, I don't wanna knock that down. Okay, then you put the sleeve over there, and then you roll this one back up. And then the reason for this outside one is it's what keeps it on. So you really have to roll this up high. So then you can put your pants on. Obviously your legs do not bend. So it's not quite as easy as putting on regular pants when you... You have to pump your leg up. Or I should say, you gotta suck the air out of your leg. is what it does. This is a brake bleeder tool. The biggest thing is you get your legs on and then you find out that they're going like this. You know, they're going crooked. Yeah. You just got to keep telling yourself, I'm alive. So that's, and I'm saved.
I'm glad I wrote it down because there's a lot of people here and I'm already really nervous. So my husband had left and he left to find somebody else that I did not give him. And that devastated me. And then came this church and I felt wonderful, I felt great, I felt worthy, I felt redeemed, I felt, all right, there is a purpose for me, but that wasn't enough. And the misery that I had, I decided that I thought if I took a lot of pills and a lot of alcohol, that misery would go away. It wasn't until I woke up in the hospital and I saw Pastor Larry and Kelly looking at me. And I felt so ashamed. I'm like, oh my gosh, they know how broken I really am.
Heidi, it's because of your confession of Jesus Christ as Lord, Savior, Redeemer, and Deliverer. It's our joy to now baptize you in the name of the Father, in the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I think it's one of the most faith-filled things we do. People get charged up and run forward. Not just those that get baptized, but those that watch, because it's like, yeah, it's commitment time. Yeah, I think baptism is incredible. We're not trying to clean anybody, we're trying to kill them. So, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to kill the old man, we're not trying to make him grow. So, putting him under the water is death to that old life. We want it to die. We ought to do it right.
Well, my name's Brian. I'm 29 years old. I live in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. I am a youth pastor at my church, husband, father. I never expected to have kids, never, nor even a wife. I never thought I was good enough to have a wife, or I could even make somebody happy, or even be there for somebody, even be committed. My dad died in a car accident. He was drinking and taking drugs the night before at a bar. At the time, my mom and dad were separated, and he was with another woman, and she didn't care about him or anybody but herself. And he was drunk and high, and she put him in the car and buckled the seatbelt and said, "See you later." And he drove a quarter mile down the road. The car flipped and he broke his neck and it started in flames. I've never had an example of a good father.
Who's this? This is Daniel. He's 8 months. You're 8 months old, aren't you, boy?
My biggest prayer and fear is that they don't make stupid decisions like I made growing up, that they don't get in trouble or are not affected by like a depression or anything like that, so they can have a life. There's Tim. Tim, how old are you, Tim? Oh, what's your name? Timmy, how old are you?
4.
4? Yeah, come on, come sit down.
What do you got in your hand there, boy?
Turtle.
Turtle? Ninja turtle? Jimmy's got mild to moderate hearing loss, so That's a struggle sometimes. When he doesn't have his hearing aids in, he can't really hear. He knows some sign language, which I've been teaching him that, so that helps a lot. Come on, Mr. Dan. Oh, duh. There we go. All right. Having a garage sale today. Everything is moved up. We decided that the best action for us is to move. We're gonna move near Chattanooga, Tennessee, just to do a new start, a new life, get away from the past, Polk County, the labels, and try to get something new. My first experience with alcohol, I was 9 years old. It was my aunt's funeral. We went to her funeral during the day. Then my mom took us to the bar to eat. I know I had to drink at least 6 beers, and I was 9 years old. All I remember is just vomiting. My addictions were prescription medications, methamphetamine, cocaine, alcohol.
For the first time in years, Brian returned to Frederick, Wisconsin, where his addiction grew out of control. He lived in this trailer park where he would break into houses and steal medications, including morphine patches from a cancer patient.
Very far left side is that little bathroom window there, and that's the bathroom I went in. It was such a hopelessness, too. I remember just sitting, all 3 of us would feel just the oppression in the trailer that we used to live in. It was just like, it's like you couldn't get out of there. You were stuck in it, and no matter what you did, you were just stuck. The real kicker of my addiction is when I lost my best friend, my godmother. And she took pain medication also. So it was one more thing we had in common. Well, one night, we were working at the restaurant, and she was in really bad pain. And I remember closing up the restaurant. I was outside in the back smoking, and she come out, kind of startled me. And I told her I had some pills, but they weren't like the normal prescription pills that I was prescribed to, that they were a lot stronger. And she said, "Give me anything just to get this pain away." As we said our goodbyes, Debbie drove home, and I drove home too. The right side of her car went into the ditch and caught the grass, but there's a turn here, so she was pretty far. She had to go across pretty far and come across, just kind of like as these car track tires are. And she hit, and the car spun around, and right here. The whole top of the car, along with her, was ripped off. I feel that because I gave her those pills, she wasn't able to function driving home. She died. Her family has no idea that I gave her pills that night, the night she died. I've never told them. Her daughter and I were like brother and sister. And it would be just like if you told your sibling that you killed Mom. So I decided to keep it to myself.
The police were actively searching for Brian in connection with his previous crimes, and speculation that he was stealing drugs again.
I was right at this gas pump right here. So I was so loaded I couldn't stand really. And so I just sat back like this, and then all of a sudden I seen red and blue lights behind me, and told me to warrant for my arrest, and took me in. That's when I decided I'm done. And as soon as the cop got out of my sight, I ripped open every morphine patch I had, and I stuck it on my body. I even ate 2 of them, and just waited for him to come back, waited for the darkness to come, waited for me to fade out.
If a person is just sticking them on for the first time and they don't use narcotics at all, they could actually cause somebody to die because they stop breathing. Even one patch could cause that to happen on a person who's never used it before.
Dr. Rebecca Lyman sees the results of addiction firsthand at St. Croix Regional Medical Center, where addiction-related overdoses, accidents, and crimes arrive daily.
And he also chewed them, and that potentially can get into your system a lot faster. So people who abuse prescription medications will take them in a way that they are not intended to be taken. From a personal standpoint, I think that there is a lot of drug and alcohol problems here. Compared to other states, I only know statistically that Polk County is bad and one of the top counties in the state for drug and alcohol problems. Every day I see people that have been affected by drugs and alcohol.
I remember waking up on the bed in the hospital with a handcuff hooked to my bed and the cops staring over me and the doctor staring over me. And the doctor saying, "Brian, do you realize if they would have waited 5 more minutes, you'd be gone? I'm surprised we were able to even save you."
Vicki Taylor?
I was arrested with 6 felonies and 5 misdemeanors. Prior already having 2 DWIs, a disorderly conduct, and theft charges. With my record, if they wanted to stick it to me, I could be gone for 72 years. At the time, I was 20. So that would make me 92, even if I even lived that long.
Brian plea bargained out of the potential 72-year sentence. Among his sentencing included completing drug rehabilitation programs, but even those weren't enough to keep him sober.
They had to do a strip search to make sure that you weren't bringing in any drugs with you. Well, I had drugs that I brought in, and they weren't in my pocket, they were in me. They never found the drugs. As soon as after I was done with the interview process and the searching, I went to the bathroom and retrieved my medicine. I was willing to do drugs at any cost.
His felony record follows him daily, and although moving won't take away his felony charges, he hopes to gain a second chance in employment and reputation, which is a constant struggle in Polk County.
Employment's very hard. You have to know somebody that knows you as a person to get a job. I currently work at Subway now as a crew member. I'm working a minimum wage job. I was a young kid who had a drug problem, who needed help. I know what I did was wrong. I'm not disagreeing with that. One stupid decision when you're a kid or when you're young affects your entire life. That's what society, that's what the judicial system wants for people. Where's the hope? There's nothing left for me here. There's no employment here. I'm labeled as a felon. I'll always be known as, I can't run from it. I just hope and pray that people look past it.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Lord. Father, we recognize some quality laborers here have been among us, Lord, and they have been a blessing in so many ways. Thank you for Brian, Vicki, and their children, Lord, a family that has meant so much to us. Father, we send them out with a blessing today. Father, I ask you as well to provide in every way, financially, emotionally, Lord, spiritually, and we pray in Jesus' name. Everybody said, amen. Love you guys. Yeah.
We've had children taken out of homes before because of drugs, because of meth. it sure has a huge effect on the children. It's terrible, terrible.
I think there's hope for any area.
Yeah.
There just needs to be pathways for people to get the help they need. I think our culture just needs to accept the fact that we've got a lot of trouble here and that we need to work together to fix it. Not laugh at it or scorn the people that maybe are involved, but really figure out a way to get them the help they need.
Right.
Of course, I believe the biggest help they need is a faith-based answer because spiritually they're just empty.
All the times I used to hang out here when I was a kid. Never thought I'd go to jail for burning it down. It's crazy. This stuff here we put between the die and the part, so it removes the tool marks, so to speak. My name is Dustin Wheeler. I'm 30 years old. I am a felon. I could put 50 tons of pressure is what it would take to blow up this brake. Oh. Hey, Steve. We're at Tenier, the dresser plant. I don't think people judge me from what I did in the past because when I first came in here, I mean, I met people that did same stuff I did. You know, not the same crime, but just had to sit the same amount of time for doing stupid stuff. So coming in here, it almost felt like home. Like, hey, I can relate, you know? So it's kind of cool. I think there's some drug use going on. I tend to stay out of it. I would like to say, hey, you need to stop doing that, but I'm more caught up in keeping myself out of trouble than trying to save the world. I started getting in trouble before I graduated high school, actually. Started getting in the fights, and then I got expelled from St. Croix Falls. I was expelled for threatening the dean of the high school. When I told her I was going to throw her through a window, and I don't know why it's so funny. I have no idea why. It's been 12 years, and I still laugh about it. Yep, 28, all the way down to 20. 13 starts here, and then the turrets, that's Al Spray. He loves God. Al Spray loves God. Absolutely. Look at his hat. Right there. It's the only way. There is hope for people with felonies around here, but I think it takes a long time. I mean, it could take up to 20 years for people to even forget what you did. This is the big bad bear. When we started going to OCC, we invited him one day, months ago, and the guy hasn't left since.
Well, I'm Sean Bear. I work here at the Tenier Brake Department. We like to call this our alien. He starts out like this, and we bend it up into a box. So there's about 14 hits on these sets of tools right here. So years ago, I was pretty heavy into drugs and alcohol, and by the grace of God, I was saved. And I came from a pretty dark place, a pretty bad place. I never in a million years would I assume that I would be where I am today. It really is, to me, it's a miracle. I mean, it really is.
Sean was in one of the largest meth rings in Polk County, and likely in all of Wisconsin. His house became the storeroom for entire safes full of drugs.
It's really hard to stay sober. I mean, I have no problem now, but I can tell you when I first got sober, man, it was rough. It was rough, but I've come a long way, and I don't ever plan on going back. So, Polk County and also St. Croix County has a huge meth problem. It's almost as easy as going to get alcohol. I mean, it really is.
I hold stuff in for so long, I turn into the Undertaker, and then I just really mess up. Like when you get called a loser and ugly for 10 years, then you really cause some damage and something you can't take back. One day something did change, and I remember it wasn't even something that escalated. It was just I just wanted to cause some trouble, some really bad trouble. Initially we were gonna go target practicing. Well, after a couple bars, we decided we didn't want to shoot at targets anymore. We wanted to shoot at cars. We just shot it up, hopped back in the car, and drove up here. This church is a historical site. I don't know, actually, I haven't been in there in 7 years. I don't know what it looks like now, but I know that you can get married here and you can get pictures taken here. I believe you can tithe here. I still feel like I'm committing a crime just standing here.
Dustin's hesitancy bordered on fear, like a child walking near a dog that's bit him before.
It's a little heavy on the heart right there. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. It was, thinking about it today, it's incomprehensible that I would ever think that way. But I picked up a Bible and I turned it to a random page, and when I found the page I wanted, I lit it on fire, and we couldn't put it out. So instead of getting smoke in our lungs, we ran out the front door. We couldn't take it no more, so we just left and left it to burn. And then by the time we got back, he was already too late. Drove up the road. By the time we came back, the fire department was already here. And it was just too late. All we could really do was just keep driving. Initially, I was charged with 2 Class F felonies for arson and property damage, and then another Class A misdemeanor for property damage for shooting the vehicle.
I recall dealing with Dustin Wheeler. I recall that, it's one of those names that was a frequent flyer in Polk County. I'm sorry, but that's kind of how you characterize. I remember the church fire. You just kind of remember individuals attempting to burn down a church. It was one of those situations. And I remember him having numerous opportunities to get some help. And again, he might be one of those individuals that it just took 5, 6, 7 times before something clicked. It just doesn't work for everybody the first time around.
In appreciation for the restoration of the Old Settlers Chapel, residents of Sterling Township, 2009. I didn't even know what that cross was before. That cross is the reason why I'm standing here today. Because no matter what I did to this place or anything or any other place, that by that cross I'm redeemed.
Okay. That should be good. Being me means being a pastor of a smaller church, and you wear a lot of hats. And sometimes you can get help, but sometimes things need to be done in a certain time frame. And I need to do some of it myself. We've been growing since we got our new building.
been growing, so some of the events that we've held, we've been parking people in our grass here. So when it's rainy or muddy, we get in lots of trouble. So we definitely needed more parking. So yeah, I would say we're expecting growth. I am supposed to have the other end. I'm supposed to have these stakes on the outside, so I gotta turn this around. Always gotta make one mistake, and then I'm good. This job is, maybe I'm being a bit impetuous. I really want to get started on this. We've waited since March, and this is now August, to get this thing going. And been a lot of county regulations and approvals and permits to buy. I've always wanted to be a part of a church that works, and what I mean by that is does more than just show up on Sunday morning. That yes, our services should be exciting and honoring to God, and they should affect people, but we're supposed to be the church 24 hours a day. Sometimes I'm successful, other times I'm not. Well, this, if you guys want to help, this is what I'm doing. I hope this isn't offensive to you. So, would you like gloves or something?
Well, if you have some, that'd be okay.
Sure.
I'm actually doing community service for a crime I committed. And so Larry is giving me a lot of hours here.
Out of extreme fear of speaking out against Polk County and potential legal recourse, this felon demanded anonymity. Although convicted of possession and attempts to deliver methamphetamine, you'd never, ever guess that that was part of her history.
So people get bored and then they start using. And it's fun for a while, until everything goes down. If their parents are using like pot and drinking in front of them at a young age, the next generation, they're going to take it to the next level and the next level. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
But I think we've seen more and more improvements in our system, especially in the criminal justice system, in trying to deal with addiction issues rather than what used to be our immediate response was to throw them in jail.
I don't know. I think Polk County is all about the money.
She's also a staunch opponent of Polk County's drug court program, an intense last chance for multi-offense felons.
If it's bringing in them in money, then they're okay.
Boy, I think our drug court program, hey, I'm not going to kid you, our drug court's not for everybody. Drug court is not, we don't offer drug court to first-time individuals. We don't offer drug court to first-time felons.
I think after they've went through drug court, they put them back out there because they don't want to lose that money. And if their statistics start showing that people are repeating that program's not working, that money is going to be taken away,
Drug court is for individuals. I bet 90% of our participants over the 8-9 years that we've had our drug court are felons. Well, they're all felons, but individuals who have already been to prison, who have already had every other opportunity to straighten their lives out and have failed.
I don't think slapping felon on people really helps them at all, I'm going back to school and stuff. People that don't know me are gonna be like, oh, she's a felon, so let's not interview her. So how is that really helping people get off drugs? It's not.
Okay, these aren't your first-time marijuana smokers, okay? If we wanted to have, 90% positive results, that's who we'd put in the program. We don't. We put in individuals who have imposed and stayed prison sentences. Most of them have already been to prison.
I mean, there's got to be consequence, for sure. But really labeling them, I don't know.
When we have people who get kicked out of the program, well, those individuals have earned that. Counties like Polk County don't have a lot of other options. We just don't. It's jail or prison. You try your best.
Polk County has had enough. Repeated attempts to help addicts recover remain expensive and underappreciated. So, in the darkness of night, sick and tired of failed tactics, Polk County fights back. This is the first time weekly raids like this one have been publicly seen.
So if he's living up, if he's sleeping upstairs, you really got to dominate that fast. Get upstairs. Single family residence. Two-story house. I just jacked these guys up last week, and there were floppers there, and then and this guy supposedly got out of prison and said he hadn't seen his kid in 5 years. So
I've seen 4 different people there this week, just within the last 3 days.
We're getting ready to execute a high-risk search warrant at a residents known to be involved in the distribution of methamphetamine, which may include people accessing weapons or fleeing from the residence.
I know we have some of the highest rates of meth use probably in the world, certainly in the state. I know that it's so easy to get and everybody's doing it here that it'd be tough. It'd be tough to kick. Maybe it'd be like trying to quit drinking and hanging out in a bar all the time.
You know the old saying, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. Sometimes when individuals expect law enforcement's coming, they set up barricades or roadblocks.
One in the garage. You're here? You got the garage 2-3?
Thanks, Street County after.
Police department, show your hand!
Go. Got your feet. Go.
We come in the driveway. 30 seconds. Just report.
My mom's house. Can I please call her so this is happening so she can know?
Hey, listen to me. Okay? Hey, listen to me. Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. You know how the game works. The only way this is gonna go your way is if you give us information. You understand that, right?
This is unbelievable. I just got done with a deferred judgment. I can't. This is happening right now.
When was the last time you?
But that kid in there he's been smoking meth around me, and I have not touched it.
That kid in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it's been in the room. Hang on.
Is he slinging?
Yes.
Because obviously we're gonna want your cooperation on this. You know what I mean? So, okay. Are you on probation or anything?
I am on probation.
You are on probation?
Yep.
Okay. For meth or weed? Huh? For meth? Okay. Who would be your source that you're getting your meth from? You're not going to tell me at all? All right. Are you slinging meth?
No.
You haven't sold to anybody?
No, I just buy for personal use.
You just buy for personal use?
Yeah, probably done that too.
Yeah. Because if prison's not going to help you and jail's not going to help you and probation, if you're telling your agent she's just asking you to keep a journal on how you feel when you use. How many times of that a week are you doing?
Once or twice.
Once or twice a week? Who do you have for support then?
Huh?
Who do you have for support? Well, I mean, Jamie's here and he's using, so that's not a support. For us to get the intel
the chances, happenstances of us catching them when they're young and like the first time users are really small. That's a shot in the dark of maybe pulling them over on a traffic stop.
Goes in the hole. I have an empty spot in there somewhere, you know, like, so a lot of things have had, like, being paralyzed, probably, my boyfriend dying, my kids not being with me. You know, all the things that you think about that are bad kind of helps that, kind of helps cope with that and not think about it. Am I excited for the future? Sober future? Yeah, it'd be nice. I can never give up hope. There's always hope.
It was shocking how routine these raids felt. Almost everyone was on a first-name basis. Addicts are getting smarter and better at hiding their drugs, often buying only what they'll use and distribute that week. In all, 6 meth distributors were arrested that day. Because of a lack of physical evidence, this woman was released, but surely they would meet again in the very near future.
I can do that.
Yeah. A wheelie 360.
Yeah. That's why I have wheelie bars though. Because
I was like, right on, Bill.
Listen, I took them off and I ended up on my head 3 times. And I said, and Jill said, that's it, we're putting it back on.
Well, don't tell anybody else.
That's right.
I want to tell you the gospel is a simple, it's not an easy message. It's not easy. I'd be lying to you to say, hey, just give your heart to Jesus and it's like a downhill roller coaster ride. I would say it's a rather bumpy roller coaster ride. A lot of people will not get saved because they see something bigger than God's will in front of them. And God's saying, just let go of it. That's just an idol in your life. It's hurtful. It could be a person in your life. It could be a habit. It might be a drug. It could be a pornography site. I don't know what it is, but that thing is coming between you and God. And Peter would say this, just die to it. Just die to it. You're going to be so happy in Jesus if you'll just die to it. I'm not going to turn you into some religious freak. I'm going to make you what you were meant to be.
You ready? By whatever name it goes by, this is just my house. This is where I live. I keep horses and bees, hens for eggs. I raise meat chickens, a few butcher hogs a year, and I milk goats. I've had to learn everything I've done here. I had to learn the hard way or learn by myself. You know, I had to learn that weasels can get through a very small hole, that coons are excellent climbers, and so every chicken coop has shown that evolution of learning too. They've gotten a little bit better, a little bit tighter. So I can be taught. I can be taught. I'm not unique in many ways, but in the way that my culture and influence, upbringing, the society around me influenced me. Of course, it had a bearing on who I was and who I am. The bees, when they go to California, they go to pollinate almonds, and statistics vary, but I've heard that up to 70% of the whole country's bees go to the almond pollination every February. Addiction is just it's such a strong undertow, just such a strong current that is below the surface, really, in Polk County. Bees communicate through pheromones, so through scent. And if nothing else, the smoke disorientates and confuses their communication via that scent. I'd see all those guys in the 1880s with a cigar in their mouth or a pipe and nothing else, and I've tried that, but it didn't always go well for me, so it's best to have a veil. I didn't actually start really drinking until my senior year in high school, which was considered strange, very, very late. So it definitely had a huge part to play in how people socialized and lived their lives. That's a frame of honey. You know, we pat Uncle Jim on the back, leaving from the graduation party, and we know he's had too much to drink. And we look at each other and we say, I hope he made it home. We get away with it once, twice, 3 times, and we think we can get away with it 4 and 5. I think accepting truth is one of the most painful things, and people do anything to avoid pain, and in doing so, I think many times or most times avoid truth. Oh. Frost on the pumpkin today. The truck's been running this morning, so it might be warm, but yep, it's warm. I passed. You know, this interview wouldn't have been as possible or as likely just 3 months ago, because I didn't have my license. So I would have had to, I had to schedule 5 years worth of appointments for this interlock that would coincide with the mechanic's time and with my limited occupational driving schedule.
To tell you why Chris is blowing into an interlock device every few minutes, we have to take you back to the day when his life and a dozen others were changed in the fraction of a second.
Okay, so if we're talking about August 9th of 2009, it was a Sunday, a day like any other day. So now here we are in Dresser, Wisconsin. We're at the old Boulevard Bar and Grill. Interestingly enough, now it's New Life Christian Community Church. The wife of the husband and wife team that owned the restaurant, she said, I'd love to pour you one. So it wasn't unusual that we would have a casual business meeting, and that we would have some beers over it. One drink became 2, became 3, became 4. I was really just in the winding down mode for the day. I'd been up since 5:30, taking care of my animals and doing my chores at home before I raced off to work a full day, and then I had that extra meeting.
Chris made the choice to drive home. He had 2 route choices: turn left to the much busier Highway 8, or turn right to take back roads. The precise timing of these events is extremely important, as 1 second can often change the course of history.
So I took F, the less traveled road, less traveled by people who weren't local anyway.
This is one of the worst roads in the state of Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, the guys on the crotch rockets, sometimes you can't even see them. They do Mach 80, I don't know, but zzz. Well, one year, remember, there was like 2 or 3 of them, and we heard them flying by, and then 10 minutes later we heard the ambulances because they were airborne and crashed down there.
The kids stop down there and they have beer and they, but everybody keeps track of how long it takes him to, and that's what they do. This whole thing down here, this whole road should be thrown away. They should go down a mile or 2 to the east, and they should rebuild the road clear to Richmond. They come in here and they drive that, go to beat hell. He's just trying her out to see what it'll do.
I remember, I've driven this road hundreds of times since, or been in a passenger at least, and of course, every time I come back to this place, it has huge significance for me, but I kind of always relive it, and I actually try to recreate it in my mind, how it could have been, and exactly how it happened, and how I remember it. It always stays the same. I stopped at the stop sign. The corn crop kind of really obstructing the view from the south. So I remember craning my neck like I could see around the corn. I moved out from the stop sign.
What is the address of your emergency?
65.
Okay, I've got you on County Road now.
Yeah, right next to it. Yep, right next to it.
Okay.
I need an ambulance. I got one guy down. I got a guy in the car. I got a baby girl. Is he breathing?
Okay, so you've got at least 2 injured?
Yeah, and there's one guy laying in the ditch. I don't think he's breathing.
Breathing?
No, he's dead.
Okay, all right.
You tell me. Okay.
It was all a blur. I called 911 and said, I just got a phone call that my husband's been in an accident and he's dead. I said, have you had any calls? Do you have? And they said, no, no ma'am, I'm sorry, we don't have any, nothing. Okay. I called my mom, who lived in Duluth, and I'm screaming that I don't know what to do, but someone's calling me, telling me that Jason's dead. He came up to an intersection and either didn't stop, didn't look, one or the other, but pulled out in front of a group of motorcyclists. And the victim in this matter, just a horrific set of events. From what I recall, Mr. Lyman pulls out, the motorcyclist hits him, but literally manages to stay on his motorcycle, then hits another van, almost as a pinball action, and ultimately what they call the death wobble of somebody on these motorcycles, goes into the other lane and is hit head on by another vehicle, oncoming vehicle, and he's killed.
As I'd made that corner and was continuing forward, going approximately 30 to 35 miles an hour, there was the impact with my mirror. I flinched, I looked in my rear view mirror, and by that time I only had seen hillside. In sheer panic, in shock, I just didn't know what to do. It was like fight or flight, and I just kept going, thinking, what happened back there? What was that? What was that hit my mirror?
The guy that was riding right behind Jason stopped, obviously, because he wanted to check on Jason, and he said that
mean, he knew there was nothing he could do. And he noticed that the white van kept driving, and he was not gonna just let him drive away.
Mr. Lyman, in the state's opinion, then continues on after striking the victim.
After you saw him hit the vehicle head on, what did you do?
I pulled over. The people started checking on my friend. I told them I was going after the van. I caught up to him about 4 miles up 65. He pulled over because his tire blew.
How fast did you approximately you guys were traveling?
60, 65 max. I stopped. I called 911. I told him where we were at. The deputy showed up and put the guy under arrest.
You're charged with operating a motor vehicle under the influence of intoxicant. Okay. In addition to that, there was an accident involved.
Yes.
And one of the subjects was killed. The subject on the motorcycle was killed. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not trying to cause problems.
You're not causing problems, Chris. Don't feel like you're hurting our feelings. No.
You know what? I don't care about your feelings.
Well, you know,
because you're not the one who's dead. You're not the one whose family's dead.
Like
You're not involved.
we're not taking this the wrong way. I mean, like you said.
I just don't know what to do, okay?
Because like I said,
Like a thousand times before. I pulled up to the stop sign, you look, there's a hill on both sides. What can you do? You can see for 40 feet. You pull out and all of a sudden, it was like bang, and before I knew what was going on, the hog food's all over the place, and it was a motorcycle, and then I'm kind of struggling to get control, and my tire flies off.
I didn't feel as though they were really searching for truth as much as they were just trying to get answers.
You know, of course, I don't give a about those guys. Of course that guy's gonna say what he said because his buddy's dead. You'd say the same thing. So would I. You want to say that. You know what?
You hit somebody. You had no consideration for him. You didn't care about what happened to him. You left the scene. If you were concerned about, hey, this guy just hit me.
You know what?
Maybe my van's up. Maybe I need insurance information.
You know what?
No, you take off down the road and you only stop. You only stop when your tire comes off.
You're not right now.
What do I need to write?
I remember being shackled, and led into the courtroom the following day, and a list of charges read, initial charges. A homicide by intoxicated use. I believe it was prohibitive BAC, blood alcohol level, and fleeing the scene of a fatality. All 3 charges with a maximum penalty of up to 35 years.
After Jason died, I was ready to join him. We had multiple friends that crashed or died, but you just don't think it will happen to you. You know, I mean, he's still dead, and that's still a part of my life that who knows where we could have been. You know, who knows the things we could have done together. You know, we were so young. We just started our life together. And I just couldn't see it being okay to make someone sit in jail for something they did and be away from their kids when they, you know, I mean, if they were at home, they'd have to live this every day and face their children. He has to live with the fact of what he did, and he has to face his children every day. And I just feel like that's harder. Because if there was a God, why would he make a 24-year-old a widow? Why would he make a 24-year-old who, you know, her husband, why would she take, or why would he take him away? Why would he, for what? What did I ever do to deserve that? That part is, I guess, still pretty damaged.
Cassie showed mercy to Chris, requesting he receive minimal jail time, which the judge honored. There was an audible gasp in the courtroom when the sentence was handed down.
I was sentenced to a year in the county jail, 1,000 hours of community service, probation for 12 years, interlock ignition device on any vehicle for 12 years, suspension of license for 5 years, a state and imposed prison sentence.
I remember taking some heat for that sentence. There were individuals who obviously see an individual who's drunk and had marijuana in the system, intoxicated, and kill somebody, and immediately think that person should go to prison. And in a lot of situations, I'm of that opinion.
You do get some training in medical school about alcohol and addiction, but you know, just like different kinds of cancers, you don't really learn about them until you've had a patient who's had one, or you've gone through it yourself. I think some of it might be just a cultural of acceptance of use of alcohol. When you get done with work, people go to the bar, it's Wisconsin beer. Yes, I have been affected by the outlying effects of addiction because I'm married to somebody who was addicted to alcohol. And it caused a life-changing event for him and ultimately for me.
Chris has fulfilled every part of his sentence and remained sober from all drugs and alcohol since that day, although the impact on his family and finances will be felt forever.
You know, every picture that we have of him before his accident, I think I have one picture of him actually smiling and not looking just totally depressed. I didn't really know that my dad had been drinking on the side and doing drugs. I found out after my dad was in jail that the wife of the man that died requested that his sentence be shorter because of my sister and I feel like I am forever indebted to her because of that. He means everything to me. Like, if my dad was gone, if my dad was in prison, one thing that I would wish for forever was to have him back.
We were very, very fortunate because it could have been worse. And I think it could have been worse. And then my kids would have been raised without a dad.
Alright, well, I'll be honest with you. Long. Keep going. Alright, you can stop. Alright. Well, I'll show this to you, okay? Show the point 125. Okay, find you back.
He is known as the prosecutor in the high-profile St. Croix fisherman murder case, but now the spotlight is on him.
Polk County DA Daniel Steffen is facing drunk driving and speeding charges after being stopped Monday night on his way to a district attorney conference.
The questions remain, what does this mean for his future as a prosecutor? They say they feel it is a big deal, that he should resign. A lot of his cases are other DWIs.
The level of hate, the level of anger that some individuals who don't know me have expressed towards me has been surprising. Wisconsin is the only state in the country that makes that first offense basically a traffic offense. It's not a crime. I will say it was a ridiculously poor decision on my part. I mean, I have friends, I have family members who have had convictions like this in the past. And I would hope I haven't looked differently on them because of the mistakes that they've made. But I've never claimed to be perfect. Sit here, tell you that I'm not, and that I made a mistake, and I'll move on from it.
Today we're going for a motion hearing to see if we can modify my sentence, the part of which involves my ignition interlock, and see if we can get it taken out of the vehicle. I've complied with the community service. I've complied with complete and absolute sobriety since 2009. I've helped lead recovery groups. I speak and minister at the Polk County Jail weekly and several times a year in the Burnett County Jail. I do victim impact panels. I've been on many mission trips. I've headed up and led various activities in the community based on the responsibility that I've shown that I can be responsible enough to drive without the oversight of the interlock. It's so hard to predict what Dan will do. Like it says at the top of the paper, it's Chris Lyman versus the state of Wisconsin.
Well, I'm going to oppose it. You're an addict, you're an alcoholic, you may be in recovery, but you're in recovery until the day you die, you know, so it's gonna be a lifelong battle with Mr. Lyman not to pick up a beer bottle and start drinking again, not to smoke marijuana again. But that interlock device, and I know it's cumbersome, it's not perfect, but that's part of his sentence. Sometimes you have to deal with it.
It teaches you patience. You don't have a choice. You'll be patient until you learn it.
I'm scared, Wayne.
Compliance until you learn it. Some guys it takes years and years and years.
Even give me the words to speak, that I'd be clear and clear thinking and come across in a positive way.
I mean, that's what it is. It's freak timing.
Just a blessing on our lives here.
Everybody has a chance. You know, you have till your last breath.
Help to amend this situation for us.
If you're looking for the secret to recovery, you're gonna find it in God. That's where you're gonna find your hope. That's where you're gonna find your transformation.
Just continue to go before us and help us to continue to rise above this.
I thought to myself, I said, what does he have that I don't? He told me that no matter what you do in this life, you can be redeemed.
Continue on for our own benefit and for the benefit of any others around us.
Yes, there's hope for everybody. Even those who don't think they need him, someday they might.
Just give us peace through this, whatever the outcome. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Most of all, the precious will be done.
Yes, amen.
I don't know what I'm doing at all. It's becoming more and more obvious by the second.
Please rise. Please be seated. We are here in the state of Wisconsin versus Christopher Lyman. This is file 09CF260. Appearances, please.
State of Wisconsin, High District Attorney Dan Stephan, Mr. Lyman appears in person without counsel.
We are here in response to a letter that Mr. Lyman wrote to me back in September of 2015. And in my response to you, sir, I indicated that I thought that it would be necessary to provide victim notification. Mr. Stephan, is the state in compliance with victim rights?
We have notified the victim of today's hearing. We have not heard any response.
And your license has been reinstated, correct?
Reinstated September 21 of 2015.
Okay. So what's the state's position on this request?
The final barrier to Chris's long-awaited freedom relied on the outcome of the state's argument. Do you believe in second chances?
I don't have one, to be honest with you, Judge. I know the 5 years would have been, I don't know if necessarily we requested that, but Ordinarily, the 5 years would have been the ignition interlock device if the court deems it. I have no disagreement with what Mr. Lyman says in his letter in terms of what he's done and things of that nature, so what the court wants to do.
I've done everything in my power and ability. I've tried to go above and beyond all conditions of my sentencing. I continue to volunteer in several capacities, one of which is ministering in the Polk jail on Thursdays, participating in several mission trips within the state and outlying areas around the country. I'm currently working on my licensure for ministry through the Assemblies of God, and I value all these opportunities, and I do believe I'm seeing fruit, so it's gratifying.
I think what you have done since this conviction is extraordinary. I think you have gone above and beyond to do what I wanted you to do, which was to share a compelling story. Folks can say, if this could happen to Christopher Lyman, it could happen to me. This is the transformation that we're looking for, so good for you. I'll modify the condition of your probation, continue to live this redemptive life.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're worthy. It's okay for my family. I really mean what I said because I tell those guys in the jail every week. I tell them if I can do it, they can do it. Absolutely, and when they have an example, we all do better when we have an example, right? So, bless your heart. Thank you.
Such a good judge.
You're the miracle man. Yep.
I can't even believe it.
What's better?
In ancient Hebrew tradition, a blessing was bestowed upon the listeners of a message. It would encourage people towards uprightness and instill hope for humanity. With that said, may you embrace the community in which you live, offering hope to those who have none. May you open your door to those who need encouragement, opportunity, and help. May you remember your past, but look forward to a brighter future. May you reject the influences and people that chain you down, and commit to lifelong change that remains available to anyone who desires it enough. Show grace, mercy, and forgiveness, and it will be shown to you. May you remember the times you were given a second, or third, or fourth chance when someone asked the same from you. May you sacrifice for those you love and remain conscious of life after today, for tomorrow brings a fresh start. Give help to the helpless and rest to the weary, for all have fallen short and you may soon need grace. There's still lots of work to be done. So most of all, never, ever forget this message. And with it, you can change the world.